Hi, I'm Ken Raymond, a reporter with the Oklahoman. With me here today is Kyle Easteridge, most recently a special investigator with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. Kyle just resigned his post at OSBI yesterday, on Thursday. Can you tell me why?
Okay, I resigned because I didn't feel like the money that was being used on this federal grant was being used properly, and my efforts to correct that situation continued to fall on deaf ears. So I felt like it'd be best if I just left.
You were an Oklahoma City police officer. You worked as a cold case homicide investigator until December of 2009.
That's correct. I've worked with the Oklahoma City Police Department for about just short of 25 years. 17 of those years I was an investigator of violent crime, and in 2001 I went to the homicide unit at Oklahoma City, and the last few years there I worked with Mike Burke in the cold case unit.
When you retired from Oklahoma City Police Department, you did so specifically so that you could go take a job at OSBI and work in their newly created cold case unit out there.
That's correct.
And that unit, if I understand correctly, was funded by a federal grant designed to look at unsolved violent crimes.
That's correct.
What did you find was the reality when you got to OSBI and started working on this new job?
The excuse me. The problem with the grant I recognized pretty early in this is that there was very little organization to this. There was no priority given to cases. There was a review process, but most of the people in the review process were lab personnel. There wasn't a lot of law enforcement input. And as a result, there were a lot of cases that were assigned to this grant that are unprosecutable. These are cases that are well beyond the statute of limitations for them to be prosecuted. The priority of these cases, the prioritization of these cases should be set. Cases that can be prosecuted. Murder has no statute of limitations. Any murder case, any sexual assault case that is still within statute of limitations. And then if things were to be ran for curiosity's sake, that would be with any money left over. These tests are expensive. They can be as much as $1,000 a test, and that money should be reserved for the cases that can be resolved and prosecuted before they are for anything else.
There's about to be an audit of the cold case program that you were involved in at OSBI.
That's correct.
This is a federal audit that's going to look at how they've spent the money that they were given by the federal government.
That's correct.
You don't believe that that money has been spent appropriately?
No, I do not.
And I believe you were telling me that you have actually been in touch with the Department of Justice at the federal level to tell them that.
I have, yes. And I've been assured that they're going to look into it. Let's make something clear here. This is our money. This is your money. This is everybody's that's listening to this money. This is federal tax dollars that are granted to the OSBI to use to resolve cases. Now, I think it's a worthwhile venture. We're at a time when budgets are low. You can't afford, some agencies can't afford a full-time cold case investigator. They can't afford to run a lot of these tests. These tests are very important. This venture is very important. I believe firmly that this is a worthwhile venture. This is a worthwhile use of this money. But if it's not used appropriately, it's a waste of your and my tax dollars. The grant is $500,000. It doesn't sound like a lot of money on the big federal scale of things, it's a lot of money in my books. That $500 funds me and an analyst that works with me, or funded me when I worked there, and it also funds the testing of these cases. It is absolutely vital that at the point that these cases are selected for testing, that they are selected for the right reasons. And this limited money, this limited amount of money that's left over after funding my position and everybody else, is used wisely. And there are a lot of homicides in this state that OSBI has taken the investigation over on that could use this money. As I mentioned before, the medical examiner's office has about 100 human remains, unidentified human remains, that we could use this money to identify. We don't need to be spending this money on second-degree burglaries from Anadarko oil field offices and, you know, a 1980-something peeping Tom or sexual assault that we can never prosecute. We can never use that information. We should be using it on the cases that we can resolve, that we can bring justice to a family. That's what we should be using this money for.